We're rolling.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Nerdbuzzed.
Nerdbuzzed doesn't condone the consumption of alcohol by any persons under the age of 21. Please drink responsibly.
Hey, welcome to Nerdbuzzed, the podcast where we talk about all the nerdy stuff that we care about and drink a cool frosty brew while we're doing it. I'm your host, Marcus Ellinger, and with me, as always, the most reliable internet chatting services.
Wait, what?
OBS never lets us
God
down. And always
time.
with me,
Yeah.
as always.
Nope. You
Nope.
don't get that one.
Too cool.
Yeah, I have to do. Let's get this top
Jack
check
is
going.
here. Old reliable. That's what
Yeah.
I'm going to call you.
Old Relly.
Old
We're gonna have to
reliable.
get this full screen real quick.
We have a couple guests that are. One is going to be back to join us. He had to go take care of something with his family. So
You see
you know,
his
family first.
hat in
Totally
the
get it.
corner.
Yep, he's up there. Will be back. And we have Gary that was going to join us, but the internet monster kind of bit him right in the ass. So we're going to try to get him back too. I said jump in if you can. But we have so much nerdy stuff to talk about in this episode.
I think they updated YouTube.
We're going to try to
bonjour.
make it all work.
Let's see,
Hey,
pop
Dad's
out.
here. Thanks for joining us, Dad. We
Pop
will have
chat.
all of these issues
Come on.
ironed out once you're on the show with us.
Yeah.
Either later this month or the beginning of next month.
Live chat.
Before we get going too far, though, as always, I do want to talk about the beer that I'm drinking. I'm pretty stoked about this one. My dad hooked me up
Dragon's
with a
Milk.
beer for the Super Bowl, which I never drank because it was the most boring Super Bowl in the world. It was nothing but a defensive game, so there was no scoring, and I almost fell asleep. So I felt like I wanted to save this beer for the show.
Well, it wasn't the Hawks, so why would we?
Yeah, right. I still
why would we
watched
care?
it, but a super defensive game is not the most exciting in the
Yeah.
world to watch. I mean, kudos to their defense. They did really well, but not really entertaining.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be drinking from New Holland Brewing, Dragon's Milk, which is an 11% brew. It's a bourbon barrel aged stout. So I'm a little leery because it might be
lot
sweet.
of bees.
Yeah, a lot of bees. They're into their alliteration.
But it's not a mead.
It's not a mead.
Because bees, they make the honey for the.
Nice, Jack.
Nailed
nice.
it. I'm drinking water.
It actually
In case anyone wanted
smells
to
not quite as sweet and oaky as I thought it would.
Doesn't smell like dragon's milk.
Last time I was sucking on a dragon teat. I think it looks like this. It does come out almost pitch black.
Walter and I hit up Sound to Summit instead of what Sound to Summit?
Oh, nice. Yeah, because you guys aren't into the sports ball, as Father Adam calls it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's
I heard a lot of people. There were all these pictures on social media of people watching the game and just people sleeping on couches because it just. I mean, it just was what it was.
at Sahara where I work? It was busy at first. Like there were a lot of people ordering, but then after 3, it just died.
Yeah.
Like there was no one ordering pizza. It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's not normal.
Not even for delivery.
No.
Weird. You'd
Yeah.
think during the Super Bowl that you'd be.
Oh,
Just
it was for a
delivery.
bit, and then of course when everyone finally showed up, it just it died. I'm like, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, well, I'm going
Figure it
to
out.
start drinking
I'm
my
a
beer,
genius.
even though I'm not doing the cheers right now. We'll wait for Mick to get back for that. He can tell us what he's drinking, and we'll cheers together. But I'm going to start drinking mine because I've been waiting all day
Hell
to
yeah.
drink
Hey,
beer.
Neva.
So thanks for joining, Dad, Jay, and Neva.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm just going to start drinking, and we're going to start talking about our nerdy stuff. Lots of nerdy stuff today. First off, of course, as always, we like to promote our favorite podcast.
This one.
Which
This
is
one
our
right here.
own, clearly.
Yeah.
So please go tell your friends, follow us on Twitter, give us a hard time there.
We have a
we'd love to
Discord.
hear from
I don't
you.
know how to post it in the link of the video.
Jack is
so hard.
learned. He'll get that figured
It's the one
out.
thing I have to do, and it's impossible for me. But I'll figure it out.
He'll get that squared away. I did want to say we're so close to our 100 subscribers on YouTube, which we get our vanity URL if that happens. So please go do it. I think we only need 4 more. It'd be really, really cool. Do it, people, please.
Yeah, come on, guys. What's up?
Yeah, it helps us out. We sleep so much better at night. Also, I want to give a shout out to Gary, even though he's not here to hear it. The best time to give someone a shout out.
Yeah.
He
having some internet difficulties.
Yes, he's the internet monster is just munching his ass right now.
Yeah.
So Gary sent me twice a couple pictures of the Podbean service and explaining how easy it is to connect it to Spotify. And I just apparently lost it in the slew of messages he's constantly bombarding me with, which is awesome. I love it, Gary. But so I went in there and did that, and he's right. Clickety click click, and now we're on Spotify.
So now you can listen to us with
while you game.
Spotify Premium, whatever. I don't know.
Have you ever wanted to take your nerd game to the next nerd level? Enjoy some Nerdbuzzed while you're gaming.
On Spotify.
Yeah, on Spotify.
That's pretty cool.
Also, I wanted to give a shout out to Superhero Speak, who also has a nerdy show where they talk about superheroes, clearly.
Yeah.
And I've been bantering with them a little bit. I totally Gary'd their Twitter feed with all sorts of comments and stuff.
What is that awesome. To Gary? That just means like 100,000.
Yeah, it just means this constant slew of things.
Yeah.
Where you're about to respond to one, but you just get another one before you can even send the response.
Respond to,
yeah.
Nice.
Me and Gary do that to each other, where we're constantly chasing the last post, right?
Yeah. That's why I take 10 days to respond to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can get everything out, and then I can respond to it.
You do that because you're a dick. Let's be honest.
Yeah, nice.
But I want to give a shout out to Superhero Speak. Go check them out. They talk about a lot of nerdy stuff. They also did their show, reviewed the Into the Spider-Verse and Aquaman, which is why I kind of watched it. I want to see what other people were saying about it.
Yeah.
One of the guys seemed very opinionated about Spider-Verse. I think he's a big Spider-Man fan, so he had some issues with it there. They seemed to kind of feel similar to how we did about Aquaman. They talked about D&D, so that was kind of a cool thing, and anime. So I think maybe we can get along there.
Yeah.
So shout out to them. The other one I've been chatting with is Drinking the Movies, and I'm not sure how old these guys are. They seem a little bit younger, but they're very Siskel and Ebert about their reviews, and I thought that was going to be like not in our wheelhouse at all, right? Like we'd show up with our superhero attitudes, and I said, I'm going to be upfront with you. My favorite movie of all time is Top Gun. And
what did they say about that?
The host's response was, "That's cool, man. Mine's The Dark Knight, so we can make the." And I was like, "Cool, we can make something work." So I'm hoping to get in touch with them, and we'll work something out. But it'd be fun to have some other nerds on here too, with more reliable internet. But we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So let's jump into naming our nerd plays and our animes, because we have those finally. We are going to keep doing that.
Drum roll.
Thanks,
it really
Jack,
hurts.
for everybody out there.
Name them all. Just do it already.
So our nerd play is
Well, I was gonna drop
For Honor,
Yeah.
and that's a shout out to Dad. So,
Shout out to Dad.
Nice. Slade's in the comments. I
Yeah.
hope you heard me giving you a hard time, Slade. It won't be the last time, that's for sure.
Nice.
But we're gonna play For Honor. It's free with your PlayStation Plus this month, so you at least put it in your queue so you don't lose it.
Yeah.
But if you want to download it, let us know what you think about it. We're gonna be playing it all month, and at the end of the month, we're gonna do a review, and we're gonna try to have Dad on the show with us.
The one, the only.
Yes, the one and the only Dad.
Yeah.
He is basically our biggest fan. He's basically stuck with that title.
Yeah.
Because he's stuck with us.
Unfortunately.
So I'd love to talk with him. He mentioned something about a meet and greet, and I kind of think that's the best we can do for now.
Yeah.
So I'd love to have him on the show. I hope that will all work out in the end.
Won't let me join the call. Oh, well, next time.
Oh.
Nice. Way to go, Gary.
So the anime that we're going to watch this month is Ninja Batman.
Was that the movie?
Yeah.
The really bad movie? Because I heard it was bad.
You heard it was bad?
That's all I've heard about
All right,
it.
see, that's why we're going to watch it, so that we can dive into it. I've never finished it. I don't know if this is a testament to how good or bad it is, but I've never finished it because I've fallen asleep 3 times while watching it.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
I heard it. Yeah, I heard it was just kind of stupid, but I mean, I'm interested in watching it.
Well, and to be fair, I like to watch things really late at night, so
yeah.
Sometimes I just pass out.
Ninja Batman.
This beer is really interesting. I'm not quite sure how to judge it.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean? What's going on in there?
Like, it's pretty smooth actually, but it's got loads of flavor. It's really not as oaky as I thought it would be, even though it says barrel aged, and it's not super sweet. It's definitely still rich and sweet, but not like 11%.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see if I can taste anything by the time I'm done drinking this.
Yeah.
With the 11% in there.
15%.
Yeah, right. But we're gonna watch Ninja Batman. Again, that's a shout out to Gary. Thank you for that. And you sit through some crap too.
Oh God.
Damn. Is he?
Yeah,
What is
allergies.
Jay? I don't remember what that was a reference to.
Yeah. We're already past it. Yeah. Get with it, Jeremiah.
But we're gonna watch that. That was a Gary recommendation. It was totally a joke. He was being a smartass, but that bites me in the ass doing that all the time. So this bit Gary in the ass. We're gonna watch it. So on to our first actual news topic. Oh, falling asleep. He's commenting on that. Yeah, I sleep through some crap.
Yeah.
You're right. The first thing that I do want to talk about, we both watched the trailer. It actually got released for Dragon Ball Game Dragon Ball Game Project Z. It's its working title.
That's a stupid title. First of all, second of all, it made it sound like it was gonna be some surprise. It was like, because it said in like 2017 you had Dragon Ball Xenoverse. I'm like, okay, what's going on? 2018 Dragon Ball Fighters. I'm like, oh, so is it gonna be like another innovation on like Dragon Ball? And it's like 2019. It's just another Dragon Ball Z game. It was so disappointing. It says it's an RPG, but literally all it showed was just stuff from the show.
Yeah, cutscenes.
And it's like
ripped right from the show.
Like what we've seen that 100,000 times. It's like every game is just like goes to like, maybe the Cell Saga. And it's like I can't do that again.
That's my biggest concern about this trailer is they only show Frieza. Right? So I would assume they're at least planning on a trilogy game. So
or they just released DLC. That goes depending on what faction you guys join is the fate of my okay. We'll see.
Dad is commenting on us playing For Honor, and if depending on the faction that we join, will determine our where he sits as our fan.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's not
interesting.
You are stuck with number one when you're the only fan, Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So bring some other people into the show, and then you can bump them ahead of you.
Yeah. Do a little more.
Yeah. Come on, jeez, you can do more, man.
But yeah, the Project Z, honestly, I don't see myself getting it unless they release more stuff about it and it actually does look
actual gameplay.
Yeah, because what does it mean by RPG? Does that mean you fly around and you can that doesn't mean anything when all you show me is just like hey, remember that time when Krillin died? Hey, remember the time when Sans came down and they fought people? Yeah? I've seen the show. What do you think? I'm an idiot?
Although I think
it's like, get out of here.
I think that the only thing about at least as a DBZ fan, the one game that we've always wanted is a kick-ass RPG, almost like JRPG style, right? That is Dragon Ball Z. It's already set up for it.
Yeah.
It has everything at your disposal. All the other games that come out, they always spin the game into their own kind of story direction or find a way for Trunks to come back in time so you can be your own character to do. Just let me play through the saga and do what I know. I already know what's going to happen. I'm fine with it. I've already watched the show a bunch of times. I'm fine with it if it's the same thing. Just make it a good quality game. But again, the exact same cutscenes we've seen a million times.
Yep.
And it only shows up to Frieza.
Yep.
Those are my biggest concerns.
So that's we'll see. I'm interested to see, but right now I'm not looking forward to it.
No, and I'm no better than to get excited about it.
Yeah.
Although the last thing we got with the Fighter Z, huge step up for Dragon Ball Z games. So, I mean, maybe they're just cocky now. Who knows?
Yeah. We can release anything.
Right. The other trailer that we watched was Hobbs and Shaw from the Fast and Furious universe.
Mick's back.
Mick's gonna join us again. Thanks for I can't see the slider.
Yeah, it's down there.
There we go. He'll come back here. The Hobbs and Shaw trailer, which is the first spin-off from the Fast and Furious franchise,
which looks fun. It just looks fun.
I was already laughing so hard after watching this trailer.
Yeah, Idris Elba. He's like, I can't get shot by bullets, and I'm like, wait, is this Fast and Furious? And they're like, we have to fight Idris Elba. He can't die. He's invincible. And I'm like, but don't they just drive cars in these ones? And I guess not. And so I'm like, okay, that looks fun.
Yeah.
I'm interested. Maybe I'll watch Fast and
It's
Furious.
not called
just for
Fast
this.
and Furious, right?
Yeah, it's just Hobbs and shit. Like, but I don't know. I'm not well versed in the Fast and Furious lexicon. I know the lore goes really deep. So I'll need to catch up on all the movies. But I'm interested to see this one. And yeah, I'm
It looks
interested to
super
see-
fun. Like
Yeah.
just summertime blockbuster. Drink some beer before you go see it, and just have a.
But it
blast
doesn't look
movie.
as dumb as like Transformers. Like it looks fun for the sake of fun, not fun for the sake of like making $1 billion in China or whatever. So I'm interested in that one. I'll probably watch
when
it.
they announced it, I thought, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no, do not mess with my favorite movie franchise of all time. You are going to ruin this with these spin-offs. It's not going to be the same. And then I watched this trailer, and the very next thing I did was run into the bedroom and be like, babe, wake up
God.
now. You have to come see this trailer. It's the best thing in the world.
It's 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've watched it like 3 or 4 times now. Every time I still laugh, and I cannot wait to see this.
Yeah.
My cheeks are going to hurt from laughing, and my eyes will be so red from crying during this movie.
It's
I
gonna
can't
be
wait.
really dumb, but I think I'll have to watch it.
I'm a fan of a dumb movie.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Did you watch the Hobbs and Shaw trailer, Mick?
I have not actually.
Okay. Do you have a to-do list there? Because that should be at the top of it.
Yeah, I was
Doesn't need to be at the
going
top
to.
of it.
That's-
You know, you can file your taxes.
one
You
of
can
them.
do a lot of things before, in my opinion. But yeah, it looks like a bunch of dumb fun. So
Yeah.
awesome.
So before we go any further, I want to give you the proper introduction. Mick Pettit is here to join us at Impinator.
Yes.
That's 3 T's in Pettit, not 15. I miscounted a little bit last time.
yeah,
And
think about that.
you're here repping the SMF for
Yep.
Stupid Mythic Forest.
That's right.
Nice. I might never get it right on the
how
first
do you
try
spell
again.
Stupid?
With 2 O's. Right?
2 O. Yeah.
Yeah. I know that
there's-
it's misspelled because my phone
Right.
freaks
2
out every time
O's
I do it.
and a U.
No.
And a U? No,
Yeah.
and an I?
Stupid.
OOPID.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
But go check out Mick's stuff. You can find him at Impinator on Twitter. Give him a hard time. It's what I do. It's awesome. But check out all his podcast stuff too.
Yes.
Would you like to tell us what you're drinking, Mick? I kind of put that on hold
yes,
until you got
yes,
back.
sure.
I'd introduced mine, and I've been sipping, but I did not cheers. I was
Wow,
trying to wait.
cheater.
Oh, okay. Well, I am drinking the Graveyard of the Pacific, North Jetty Brewing in Seaview, Washington, and it's an Imperial Red Ale. It's 10.4. This batch is, and it's 100 IBUs. It's a good one.
Wow,
What's
so
an IBU?
so
I don't know
really
that
bitter.
one.
International bitter units.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's like
so the more
IPAs are super bitter.
So what I had heard with the IBUs is it's kind of like the Scoville units, isn't that for the for
Spice.
spicy?
Yeah.
And I think what it means is, and maybe I'm not like a beer scientist or a scientist of any kind, but
You don't
I'm pretty
say.
sure it means that it takes that many drops of water to 1 drop of the beer to neutralize its bitterness. Does that make sense?
I've never
So
heard
that's
that.
why, like, the higher number, it takes that
We could
many
test
more
that.
drops. Maybe we should. But I think
Yeah.
that's what the Scoville scale is. Like, if you have 1 drop of whatever the thing is, it
3
takes that
million,
many
yeah.
drops of water to neutralize the spicy.
That's why it's like no matter how much water you drink. Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Because everything is like
I think
thousands.
maybe I'm wrong, and if somebody in the comments wants to berate me with how wrong I am, feel free to do so.
We'll get those nerds. They'll come in
Yeah,
time.
yeah, you're your own type of nerd, and I support you in your nerdiness.
Yes.
So we left off on Hobbs and Shaw. Go see it. It's awesome. Before we talk about our next thing, I do want to make sure we do our cheers because now Mick's here.
Yeah.
And I would like to do that with somebody age appropriate.
Yes.
So
As you
to
can
all
tell,
the
I'm-
nerds,
Your glass.
Oh,
sweet glass.
that's
It's
nice.
almost as cool
Yes.
as mine.
it?
Jack decided to get me my wife's mug, which has a big, which is
It
rainbow,
reminded
sparkles,
me of you. So
and a
it's-
big unicorn.
Hey, everybody loves unicorns.
Yeah. Jay says he doesn't know the answer to that, but he's chomping at the bit to give me a hard time about something. I'm sure I
Yeah.
will make that easy for you in a minute. But maybe in your free time, Jay, look it up.
nice.
Oh, burn.
To all the nerds,
Through all the
through
fuzz.
all the fuzz, bottoms
Bottoms
up,
up,
Let's get
nerd
nerdbuzzed.
Man,
In front of the
Even
camera.
more than we have.
yeah, we got it. I'll just toss my glass at it next time.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
This beer's really good, Mick. You were saying
Yep.
that you
That one
it's
is
of your favorites.
amazing.
It's even though it's barrel aged and it's super potent, it's really not super sweet.
Oh, God.
It's very rich, but it's not overly sweet, and it's not too oaky. It's balanced very well.
Oh yeah, very. The last time I had that, it was around a campfire. It was. It only took like 2.
Two of
'Cause it-
them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I had 2 of those.
Yeah.
And they're
You were-
being
you
11%.
were useless.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh no, we went for walks. We did a whole bunch of stuff. I
Oh,
wasn't
there you
useless
go.
at
Stay
all.
active.
But it was so good. Then that one's one of my favorites actually for stouts.
Yeah. I'm liking it so far, and I think it's just going to get better.
Oh yes.
Only goes up from here, bro.
So we did get an announcement from PlayStation this
Oh, yeah?
week that the PS5, at least that there's like a bit of patent filed for it. I don't know exactly what that means. It's always pretty iffy, but it's looking like our PS5 could be backwards compatible.
Yes.
Oh sweet.
Yes.
With 4, which is awesome.
I
Yes.
think they're saying potential for 4, 3, 2, like all of them.
For
Like you should be able to
everything.
put
Oh.
a disc in and
And
play
your
it.
PS Vita and your PSP.
Yeah, right. Yeah, all
I'm
those.
wondering.
Dude,
I'm
that would
wondering
be
if
insane.
that's because of the PS Now. I wonder if that's not doing good.
Yeah, I'm
I
not
don't
sure.
know. I hope.
Well,
I was
I've
actually,
heard the streaming sucks. Like there's a lot of latency between.
they use
controls
Gaikai
and-
or whatever.
That might be
And I don't know
your
if Gaikai's that good.
that might be your internet sucks.
Well, I've never done it, but from
Oh, okay.
from people I've heard were direct wired and everything, great internet. That there's just like the delay when you click the buttons and stuff. Like
Yeah,
it's not
that's
good.
That's not good.
We should ask Gary. He could give us an example of somebody with crappy internet.
Yeah.
That maybe if he's played it.
Yeah.
We miss you, Gary.
Yes.
I think it's definitely I think PlayStation needs to do something to kind of stand out or make themselves a little more relevant in the next generation. And I think if they
Yeah.
can include the backwards compatibility, that's great.
That'd be awesome.
I think we just need to embrace the crossplay. I think that there's a lot of people out there
Yes.
that would pay more money even for a PlayStation if it meant it was backwards compatible.
Oh yeah.
Like if it means if I have to pay, man, I'd even say almost another $100. If I paid
Oh,
$100 for the
definitely.
Super System,
I agree with that,
I
yeah.
would do it. I think I would.
Because then you never have to switch like the HDMI to play your PS3. It'd be so you could just like.
well,
Just have your super veg zone.
and for like people that don't have
Yeah.
the backwards compatible
Easy.
PS3s either. Like, because I have one of the old 60 gig ones, so that's backwards
Yeah.
compatible for
Oh
everything.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of the good ones. But so they're so hard to
fossil.
come by that you don't want to go through the hassle of trying to find that anymore.
Yeah.
And
Because then it
I've
means that
noticed
you don't have to
can't
buy
find
any of their consoles.
what?
Oh what?
No,
Wait.
You,
Oh.
you go
okay.
ahead.
Oh, I was saying that it means that you don't have to buy any of the other consoles. So like you don't
Right.
have to buy a PS2, a PS1 anymore. Which means you can still be playing on your PS5 while playing the games that you want to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it makes a lot of sense for Sony to do that, especially with the amount that they've grown with the PlayStation 4 fan base, to now at least commit the PS4 games to your PS5.
Yeah.
You're not alienating that fan base, right? Like you're generating some loyalty there, which I think is really important, and I think that's going to be something that will be a major factor in this next systems is how they're going to treat all that loyalty stuff.
And that can mean less or like better quality remasters instead of just like a minor visual upgrade and like bare bones kind of crap that we've been
Yeah.
getting.
Yeah.
But that's a nostalgia thing. Because it was like it's a little bit better graphics and it may work just a little bit better, but it still is the original game that you remember. It's not like, oh, they just reskinned this with new graphics. It's
I
bringing
almost
you back
prefer
to that
that.
time when you played it.
Yeah.
Like I just got was it the Bard's Tale, and man, it's
Bug's
it's
Tale?
the Bard's Tale.
Bard's Tale.
Yeah,
I was like, what?
and it's a great game. Was back on the PS2. The graphics are just a little bit better, but it still is that great game where you can't just sit there and button mash, and you actually
Yeah.
have to like time your swings, and there's a whole bunch of those aspects instead of redoing the whole game.
Yeah. I just recently got Rogue Galaxy again.
Oh, nice.
On my PS4. Like I even have it on PS2, but I
It's
I
like
saw you
right
playing
over
that the other
there.
day.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I own it on disc for PS2,
Yeah, I
and
know.
I thought,
I see all. Oh yeah, it's literally. Yeah, I can see it from here.
thanks, Jack.
Yeah.
But I thought I'd heard good things about the PS4 version, that it's like it is in HD and like it looks crisper, runs smoother, all this and that. And I tried it. The only issue with it is it was never released in the full widescreen
That's
like
stupid.
aspect ratio.
Si-
So it has
16.3
little
or
bars
whatever.
on the side, but really it's pretty minimal. And it runs really well. Like, man, if they did come out with one super system and I could just pop any disc in and play, that to me that is such a massive selling point.
Yeah.
They'd have to add the option as like the backwards compatible PS3s where you can change the screen ratio to full screen, so it stretches it out. So it stretches a little bit, so it's not like awful. You don't lose any graphics or anything, but
Yeah.
it makes it that full 16:3 or whatever.
I was actually surprised that you couldn't do that in Rogue Galaxy.
I
Like, I thought
wonder-
for sure there'd be some sort of option to do it.
There
Like
were
even
games that were like designed without that in mind. So like especially in cutscenes, stuff would just be like so like there'd be like characters T-posing, and then they'd like suddenly walk into frame. So maybe it was like that because it was just like really not optimized for it at all.
you can see
Well,
some of that in Champions of Norath.
Yeah. The other big news along the lines of the future systems that we also got announced this week is that the Xbox Live is going to come to Switch. Did you hear about that,
Yes,
Nick?
it did. Yeah.
You got any thoughts about that?
It's odd. I mean, I think that because of the success of the Switch, that Microsoft is jumping on the bandwagon with it, like trying to get in at ground level and like, okay, we need to get our foot in the door because of the advancements they're doing that Nintendo has done with their game systems.
Yeah. Jay says he prefers Letterbox to the Stretch. I think I'm kind of in that same boat.
Yeah.
I'm fine with the Rogue Galaxy not being distorted by jumping
Right.
it out, because at least it's top to bottom full.
Yeah.
Right. I think if we're talking about the Xbox Live on Switch thing, my biggest question is, like, who benefits most from that? Like, is it Xbox or is it? I mean, I think it's unanimously it's the nerds that have those systems, right? Like that is awesome for them. But I mean, as far as like from an industry point of view, like who is that ultimately benefiting?
Well, it's going to bring those people in that, like, if they release Call of Duty and things like that on the Switch, they're going to be able to have that crossplay if that's what they're working on. But
So does it just mean that it's always going to be crossplay for every game?
I don't know, but I'm saying that's my thought with it, of why they're trying to do that, because why else would you put Xbox Live on to Nintendo system?
It's very confusing. Like,
Yeah.
what is it going to like? What
My idea
they
is
haven't said
crossplay.
that yet.
Yeah, I think
Makes
definitely
sense.
crossplay. Because right now the games that are crossplay, I think are kind of more broken up as far as the games go. So like it's more specific for the games. I don't have an Xbox, so I haven't actually experienced this myself.
Yeah.
But so when I was reading about it, it sounds like they're trying to find a way to create a standard for that. For like all games that are going to be crossplay will kind of be able to all sync with each other on this one standard way now. I don't think it means that, at least right out of the gate, that you're going to be able to play Xbox games on a Switch.
No, you'll be able to play like the titles with other people.
What if?
Yeah,
What
I
if
think
it's
at least at first. But I do
Right.
think that Xbox's end goal here, because they already do this with PC and mobile and other screens, is to get their live service and even the ability to play games on any screen that will allow that to happen.
Yeah,
Like, don't you? I think that is an end goal of Xbox,
that makes sense.
which I think I was talking with Jack about this earlier. I think that is, it's funny that's something that they're doing now, and I don't necessarily think people are really frowning upon it. Like right now, it's kind of looked at as this kind of revolutionary thing that they're doing,
Yeah.
right? But if you remember when the Xbox got first announced, this last generation, they were really shot down and frowned upon for kind of having the mentality that they're sort of embracing now, right?
Yeah.
Where they were like, you're going to have to be online all the time. Stuff's going to be linked to you all the time. Like there was the rumor that discs might go away. Like it might just be like basically almost like a streamed service. which is kind of what I think that they're getting a foothold in that now by really trying to get this Xbox Live and their game streaming service available to whatever screen is willing to take their app, right?
Right.
Which,
Well, and like what she said there in the comments, Fortnite is really popular right now with the crossplay stuff, so that makes sense of them trying to cash in on that as well.
oh, totally. Yeah, I think as much as I
hate that game.
I know. I mean, I'll be honest. I don't like that game at all.
Can't stand
I
it.
don't like what it represents for the gaming industry.
No.
I'm not a big fan of it. I don't want to sit here and just crap on somebody else's nerd thing that they love.
No,
right?
if you're good at it, you like it, whatever. But
yeah, it's not really for me.
No.
Like my brother is an example. He plays
Right,
it.
he plays all the time.
It's his GTA Thursday, basically. That's what he does, is get together with his buddies, right?
Yep.
And
Fortnite.
and I love it. I think anytime a nerd gets their thing, that's awesome. Like, who am I to be another nerd to crap on their thing?
Mm-hmm.
But
That's exactly
if you
what
think,
a nerd should do.
right?
Yeah.
Like, we used to have to worry about that for bullies. Let's not start worrying about that for co-nerds also.
Yeah.
But
Must be united.
if I'm being honest with you, if Fortnite is your favorite game and you think it's the best game ever, you're wrong.
But back to the discussion. Yeah, it is interesting. I wonder if it's going to be like with Fortnite, where it's like you can play with Switch people and Xbox Live people, or if it's going to be like you sign into your Xbox account so you can play with your Xbox friends on your Switch, but you can't play with people on their Switch, right? So if it's like you sign into your Xbox Live account so that you can play with just Xbox people, like if it doesn't support crossplay, you're playing on that account.
I
That
think that's
is linked.
ideally what Xbox would like to have happen.
Because then that doesn't necessarily mean that like you're also playing with Switch people.
Yeah.
And I think that would be interesting. But
I think
it could get people, it could get people on Xbox Live, but also playing like buying the games for the Switch. So
Yeah,
it's like,
well, because
yeah.
if you
Well-
have the live service, you're paying for the live service, which
Yeah.
like the PS Plus and all that. So you don't have to shell out the $300 for a new Xbox, but you can still use that service and play the games with your friends.
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
Because I know
If-
some people, I mean, like you said, you don't even have an Xbox. So some people just don't buy those systems. They do not want those systems, but they love to play the games that are on them with their friends, because that's like all their friends have is that system.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I think right now it's going to be held to where you have to own both those games. Like
Yeah.
you have to own the game for your Switch to be able to play with people on Xbox. I don't think they're going to totally kick the door open and say, like, yeah, you can stream all your Xbox Live games or whatever to this device.
Yeah, that'd
and play it
be
there.
pretty crazy.
That'd be
I
cool.
do think
Yeah.
well, and I do think that's the end goal of Xbox, and I think that's been their goal since this system
Just to
launched.
become like the biggest streaming service.
Yeah.
Because like no other streaming service would be able to compete with them.
Well, and who else? Why wouldn't you go to Switch, right? Like, Switch is basically the port sponge right now, right?
You go
Like,
to Switch.
if-
You go to Switch so you can
the
play your
ideal.
games on like a mobile thing that isn't a phone.
Well, and they'll take anything right now.
Yeah.
Anybody that wants to put their game on Switch,
They'll do it.
they
yeah.
are all over it, and they would
Mhm.
love to have your game on there. They're all about that, right? I think in a way that's not the best thing for Nintendo fans, because we want them to focus energy on Nintendo brand games,
Just
right?
re-release
like
your
they
old
have their
games,
own
please.
back library. I want them to concentrate on.
Yeah.
But if you're somebody that's new to what's going on in the gaming world, and you can play Xbox games on a Switch, like, why would you buy another device, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think if Xbox is aware of that, I think it kind of opens the door for Xbox to potentially not make systems, right? Like, why would you make a system if I can play your game on any screen? Like, where's
Well-
my motivation to actually buy the system?
Some people, it's the controllers and things too. So unless they actually, make an attachment for like an Xbox controller that works with it, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I personally like the PlayStation controller. I like the setup of it. Xbox is okay, but I personally.
Well, and
like
you can
the
already
PlayStation.
do that with your Switch. You can buy this little USB stick you can put in the back in that USB port on your Switch, and you can play Switch with your PlayStation controller.
Nice. So
you
something
joking?
like that
That-
too. Yeah,
no,
that's cool.
completely true.
Okay.
They sell it at GameStop, which I think makes it somewhat legit.
Yeah. Oh my, I'll
wow.
get that.
So
Unless it's by Game Shark or whatever it's called.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Mad Cats.
Ooh,
Is that going back?
Oh, that hurt. That hurt.
Lit backlit
Swindle,
controllers.
he does say that game sharing is super easy on Xbox, and I don't have an Xbox, so I can't.
You
vouch
can
for
like
any of
there's that service, the weird one where you only have to pay. I think it's like You probably know how much it is. Is it like $60 a month, and you can get like all the new games? Like I know Crackdown's being released on it. I know you can get Sea of Thieves on it, and you can play it on Windows as well. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure through that service you can also share games, or that might be
Yeah,
through Xbox Live.
Because
But
if you own
really
the game, you
convenient.
can play it on on a PC and the Xbox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I have
Yeah.
Halos and stuff like that, so I can actually have 4 people in there and then 2 or 4 people on my PC as well if I game share it.
So I think Sony is doing better just like selling this generation, but Microsoft is really catching up and like all the weird like innovations they're doing and like game sharing and the Game Pass, I think it's called too.
Yeah.
Right,
Like,
yeah, that's the
the
new
next
thing.
generation.
Game Pass.
If Sony doesn't do anything similar, they're going to be in the same boat that Xbox is in right now.
And I think Game Pass is like the PlayStation Now.
but better from what I've heard because like
Yeah.
no one has PlayStation now.
Well, I can't help but but think and like reiterate that this is what we gave Xbox such a hard time for at launch, right?
Right.
Like these are the things that we all
We
as
just weren't ready.
one massive nerd community stood up and said, "Screw you, Xbox! I'm not doing that." And so they had to totally backpedal and kind of fix. And I think it's why they've been in this state of constantly trying to catch up since launch. It really hurt them in the beginning. And now these are all things, I mean, we're all sitting here going, that would be so cool. It's like
Yeah.
revolutionary, right? Like this is, if this all happens, this is kicking down so many barriers and doors. And like, it's funny that it's totally 180 now,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Like our opinions have changed and what they've done since backpedaling at launch has also changed.
Yeah.
It's like,
Interesting.
it's really kind of interesting to think about it all that way. And I do think I think it's inevitably what's going to happen. Like I even think if you look at like network TV, like cable TV has had more drop-offs than anybody in the past couple years. And they're just losing money left and right as far as that goes.
Right.
But at the same time, everybody's getting their own streaming service now. Right.
Yeah.
So it's starting to be assumed that you have internet and
Yeah.
that you have a way to get it, whether it's through your cell phone plan or you actually get it through a provider. It's starting to be assumed that that's just part of life now. And so I don't think the concept of a purely streaming gaming system is nearly as far-fetched as it once was.
Yeah.
I don't
No.
know if we're still quite ready for it, but it's a real possibility. And I think that these announcements and what Xbox is doing has potential for them to really be trying to make that happen.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting, I think, especially I've been along the ride the whole time now, and suddenly now
You're
it's
old, that's
acceptable. I'm
Yeah.
so
Old
old,
man.
man.
So-
I want my disc. I will be so bummed if I don't own a disc. And I love
3.5-inch floppies. Mm.
Yeah, right. And you got to just smell that toxic plastic every time you
So-
first get it.
Anthem.
Why did you lose number 6? We need it.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see what'll happen with all that. This next generation, these next couple years, just as far as all those things go, is going to be really cool. And I really want to. I'm chomping at the bit to see what's going to happen with it all.
Yeah.
It's going to change. We got to accept it as nerds. It's just part of being a nerd. You got
It's
to
the
be
way
willing
it
to
is.
accept
Like
that.
Tupac.
Right?
And then he died.
Yeah.
Look at the comment. Look at the comment. It's true. So true. Yep.
Xbox, you only need one live account with games, and if you log in, you can download any game that you own on any number of.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Which is awesome. So
And then-
I have a friend who plays Sea of Thieves with his kid, and he plays on the Xbox, and his kid plays on the PC.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's leaps
Yeah.
That's leaps beyond PlayStation. When you and your dad both got a PlayStation, when I got a second PlayStation 4,
We can't even play in the same account.
no,
he had to make
it's
his own account.
absurd
Yeah.
how,
Unless you have,
how strict they are.
Or you can do the family thing, share games and things. I know that.
Well, when I got my second PS4, I tried to sign in with my same account on there just to even use like Hulu and Netflix, right?
Right.
You can't do that. You can't be signed in online with your account on 2 systems at
Right.
the same
Which
time.
is
Yeah.
It will not let
stupid.
you.
Yeah.
It immediately kicks one or the other off. I had to create a second account for my wife and then reinstall Hulu and all these other things on there and put in my password again, which some of those limit you to how many screens you can watch.
Yeah.
So now that's my second screen, right? It's like,
Yep.
I love PlayStation. I totally do. To the day I die, I'll be a PlayStation fan.
Yeah.
I think they've set industry standards. They totally have, but they're starting to be a little bit rigid with things, which is making them a little
Too
archaic.
confident,
And they
so-
need to They need to be willing to open their doors a little bit. And I'm really curious. I think they're gonna be forced to make some changes in this next generation, and
Sup, Jay?
I'm really curious to see what they will be. Nice. We're always excited whenever you're back, Jay.
Yeah.
So Dad totally concurs with everything that Swindle's saying. I know that they both got the Xbox, so
Sweet. Hey, hit me up.
Curious.
I'll
At
play
Impinator? Is it Impinator?
No, actually, on Xbox, it's Rabid Zombie Ham.
Rabid Zombie Ham? Nice.
Wow, that's
It was
Hit him up.
It was supposed to be hamster, but none of characters to put in there. so-
certainly a username if I've ever heard one.
Yeah.
Rabid Zombie Ham. It was always great playing like Call of Duty and somebody else like Rabid something on there, and so when the friends would say Rabid, like all of us like, what? What's going on?
If you have one live account, you can make endless live accounts.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
It's a lot better than what I guess what we have to deal with.
totally for PlayStation, but at the same time,
Sony's got the titles.
well, I think they have the title. PlayStation is phenomenal for this generation. I think if you want the top tier system, it's PlayStation. I don't think anybody would argue that. But I definitely think what Xbox is doing is innovative, but at the same time, the mentality of like everywhere and you can do it as much as again, to me it kind of reminds me of that Fortnite mentality, which is that
But
super.
it's still pretty cool. Like that you have the option to do it anywhere, which is
It has loads of potential, but in a way, its influence is a little bit scary to me. Maybe that's how I feel about Fortnite. It's like I don't really have any real issues with it, other than like the influential power of that game is threatening to me because
taking over
of what it
Snapchat.
means. Yeah, it's like it just consumes everything, right? It's it's the trapper keeper, man. It just is.
Oh yeah. I love them.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Next
Fanny
time.
packs are coming back, so
They are not, Mick. Do not get
No.
one. That doesn't
They-
mix. Stand
they
up.
are.
Do you have a fanny pack on?
No, I don't. Hold up.
He's got a
I don't-
bleached
I don't need to
denim
see it.
fanny
I don't
pack
need to
on
see it.
right now.
No, it's like the silver fluorescent, just amazingness.
Yeah, with reflectors on it and everything. Because those are the people that wear fanny packs. They
It
need
says
reflectors.
Pop Tarts on it too.
Yeah.
That's a real thing. Pop Tarts are selling those.
They're selling fanny packs?
They say Pop Tart on them. Yep.
No,
It makes sense they would say Pop Tart.
that's unfortunate.
So if we move on a little bit, we'll segue pretty quick here. I did get to try the Anthem demo. It's very much a demo. It's a BioWare game that I think is right now lacking all the things that make BioWare awesome.
Plot,
but again, it's a demo,
narrative.
so it's hard to like judge it. Yeah, like zero narrative
Yeah, so
basically
it's
right
like-
now.
Yeah,
It's beta.
It is it's demo beta. I
but it
don't
comes
want
out,
to judge
comes
it
out
too
soon, though.
harshly.
So it's
yeah,
like
it does come out pretty soon.
It's the same thing that people said with Fallout 76 with the beta. It's like
That's perpetual beta, right? Like that game will never come out.
but
of beta.
still, it's like you can't say it's a beta like if it releases in a month.
Thank you, Jay,
Yeah.
for correcting me.
IBU is not a measurement of perceived bitterness, but a measurement of the concentration of alpha acids from the hops.
Hey.
We did it.
Hey,
Nice.
Let's
Let's
good.
get-
Nice way to show
That
up the
deserves
intern,
one.
Jay. We like it.
Whoa.
There we go. Nice.
Nice.
what-
They're my
Just
best.
throwing an explosion in there.
Oh, it didn't happen.
Well, we don't
Oh,
get to
what?
hear it. Just the world does.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm still working on that, Mick. Okay, quit pressuring me.
Jeez.
I got your name right and your show name
Yeah,
right.
you did. You did.
Yeah,
so-
yeah, right. I want you to come back. I know that scared you away last time.
Oh man, I think it was Adam.
Hey, don't talk smack about my dad.
No, it was great. It was great.
I did want to talk. I think Anthem is a good segue into something that me and Jack have had extensive conversation about now after every single show
Mad Max
for a long time. Yeah, Mad Max,
Yeah.
the game that is
God.
just groundbreaking.
pissed me. I don't like that game.
And let's compare it to Fortnite because we know so
I
much
can
about
make
both
so
of them.
many comparisons.
Yeah.
Don't even.
All of them really complimentary and good. But we've been debating about these open world games, and I threw in there because when I first looked it up, the word sandbox comes up right next to it, right? And I almost think in where we're at in games now that there is a difference. Like they're not an
is.
open world game is not a sandbox game, and vice versa. Right?
I would say a sandbox is an open world though, because usually you don't have like linear sandboxes or like I struggle to think of a sandbox game that isn't open world.
You think though? Well, okay,
Yeah.
let's.
Because
I
can you think
I
of
think
any?
a sandbox game is one that has pretty much a general map that you get dumped into.
Yeah.
That there you can interact, you can do things in that map, but the world itself isn't really alive. Okay, classic example.
Mm-hmm.
This is one that I came up with as for sure a sandbox game, but it has that open world element. Any Need for Speed or Midnight Club game has a full city that you drive around in, and you can interact
Okay.
with other cars and like start races that are
Burnout.
actually places in that. Burnout's the same way. I would not consider those an open world game necessarily as much as I would a sandbox game.
But you could almost say that it's like a subgenre of open world that is
Well, yeah,
unique enough. But it's they're still tied together.
Well, maybe that's a good question. What would be the defining difference for you?
The defining difference is I guess a lack of a lack of well, not I guess narrative doesn't really matter. I mean, just
I think
more
to some
more
degree it does.
more emphasis
Yeah.
on interacting with the world
I
than
think
anything.
for me the defining
Invisible
difference.
walls.
Yeah. I think for me personally, a defining difference is in at least in our standard of open world game now, it should be that the world itself is as relevant of a character as the characters in the game, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like
Okay.
a sandbox game is just that. It's basically like an arena. It's a somewhere that you get dumped in that then you get to dictate everything after personally for you, but there really isn't that world interaction in the game,
Okay.
Yeah,
right? And
I agree with
just-
that.
makes
I do
sense.
agree with that.
I think the only reason I want to distinguish between the two really is because I feel like open world games have moved beyond the sandbox. Really, like I'm trying to give them a compliment here.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, yeah, definitely didn't start out. I think Fallout was probably like the first main one where the open world itself was more of a character.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I think Fallout does that really
although
well.
I would say Fallout 76 is a sandbox game.
But it doesn't do any that. It doesn't. It's like
It
neither.
is.
It's,
Right?
It is in the
it
fact
doesn't
of
know what it
it's-
wants to be.
Right, like it has a limited map, but the map is so big. Like I haven't even gone to the left side of the map, like at all. I've just
Yeah.
been going on the one side, and I haven't even explored all that yet. But
Yeah.
there's so much to do in it that feels more of like an open world. And you don't like aren't limited to the spots.
What happened to your hand?
I know
Oh,
his
that-
hand's all black too.
I've been playing with tape.
Oh.
I was gonna show it off, but
Yeah. Well, I do. That is one of the questions I have here is how open does an open world game need to be before it's considered open world? Like, can it have, like God of War, right? I think God of
That's an
War
open world. I would
is an
call
open
one.
world game, but how many of those levels are very linear? Like when you now go to the hub world thing and change it,
But
and
it's
you
like
go,
I guess it's when you have the option to do like when progressing the main quest. There's also like something you can just go off another way, and there's content over there. Like you
Yeah.
could say that any game you don't have to do the main quest because you could just stop,
yeah,
right? Like Uncharted, you could just stop moving,
Mhm.
right?
yeah. But there isn't I think you can't.
But,
I
like,
think
there's
you're
a whole
always doing the
other
main
path.
quest until you initiate a side quest. Like just because you stop along the way of a main quest, you're still in progress of that
No, okay.
because you haven't initiated a new quest, so you're still within the first quest.
See,
right?
and
Yeah.
this
Does
is
that make sense?
where Skyrim did it really good. Is you basically are about to get killed, and then you come out of it, and then you can choose what you want to do. You can follow the dude in front of you, or you can just screw off and go do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
You
Well,
don't
and
even
there are
you don't
other
even have
things-
to have the main quest active.
Yeah. Well, and there are other quests now that you can occupy your time with. I mean,
Right,
there's
or
some
just,
open
you know,
world
looking
games
around.
where, yeah, there's some open world games where it takes me so long to get back to the main quest because I'm being bombarded with
Yeah.
side quests.
Mm.
I think that's one of the complaints about Witcher 3.
Right.
Oh
Is there's
God, Witcher,
so
dude, there was
many
too
side
much to
quests,
do.
right?
There's too much
So
to do in
fun
The Witcher.
though.
It needs to like.
So what about a game like that where
I was overwhelmed
it's,
by that one.
it is open world
Mhm.
and at least it's open map
Mm-hmm.
and you can totally interact with things that will influence things within that map, right? But at the same time, it's hub world based because there are several open maps you can go to.
Are you asking if that would
That's-
count as an open world?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
does
Yeah.
that still keeps it within that realm of open world?
Yeah.
Even though it's
I
multiple
would say
open
I would say
worlds?
The Witcher is open world. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or like
I
Dragon
was in
Age
that boat too.
Inquisition.
And again,
the
I
same.
think that's a good example of where the world has life, right?
Yeah.
Like you're not just there to interact with just other people online. Here's one where I really struggled with. I think Rockstar makes really great open worlds, but I think that GTA 5, the single player, is more of a sandbox, where the online is more of an open world, right? Where with Red Dead, I almost feel the opposite, where the single player is this massive open world that I can interact with and influence, and the online is just kind of this sandbox where I'm dumped in with a bunch of other people that are online.
Okay, so you also say that like with an open world, you're more influential in what's
Like within the world, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Whereas the sandbox,
Yeah.
it's more about interacting with other people online, or not so much with events that are impactful on that world,
Yeah.
and vice versa, right? The world also doesn't have as many events that are impactful for you outside of doing.
Well, doesn't like the campaign of GTA 5, isn't that like very like there's like a lot of impactful stuff that happens? You impact the
as you
world.
go
Yeah.
through it, yeah. But eventually, I think in the end, it kind of is just this big sandbox that you get to run around and play in.
Yeah.
Like you
Okay.
it runs out of things pretty quickly. Whereas the online, you can constantly
will never run
be
out.
influencing that.
Because you get to a point in the single player where you put in the code for all the weapons and things and just start, using a rocket launcher right in front of, the hospital.
Yeah, and it's just to go out and it's a playground to have fun
Yeah.
in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Like,
I think
the story
Red Dead,
is very good, but
yeah. Well, and I think Red Dead's in the opposite boat right now. And I know it's beta, but I think that's what is suffering in the online of Red Dead, is that there isn't that world interaction. It's just
There's not like enough to do or something.
no, it's just like the world doesn't feel alive. Like half of me playing the single player in Red Dead was pushing the boundaries of that world I was in. Like, what can I get away with, right? And I
Right.
kept discovering all these cool new things that I could actually do and influence on the world. And in the online, that is the one thing, the glaring thing missing for me, is that life in the world. I think it'll again, it's beta, right? So
Yeah.
it might happen eventually, but I think it's where it needs to. That's what it needs to make up right now in online for me, for it to be awesome. If
and
somebody
I
was
haven't
like,
played that yet either, so I don't know like
Yeah, it's like-
how it plays.
I would recommend anybody to get Red Dead for the single player, but right now for the online,
No,
it's not worth it. It would be the opposite if I was to recommend GTA.
right?
Be like, the online is where it's at. Like,
You
there's
will-
so much more
yeah.
available.
Oh my
They
It would be
perfected it.
yeah, it's like the single player, that's basically GTA 4. GTA 5 is the online.
Yeah.
Right? Or 6 if you want to call it that, whatever. Do you guys remember the first open world game you played? Or what you would say was your
Infamous.
first open world game?
Infamous. Perfect.
Yeah, 2 is on my list of like phenomenal games.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Well, I'm
first-
just saying.
oh. Man, that's going back to like Diablo.
Yeah.
Diablo, like the first one, is an open world game.
See, and I think that's on the border too, because that almost borderlines on just dungeon crawler.
Yes, but you can go anywhere. You don't have to
There's
stick
multiple
to...
dungeons to crawl.
Yeah,
Exactly.
This is the main
Well,
one. There's like
but
these 20 other
it's
ones.
one of those things where you have your specific mission that you're on. You have to kill Diablo, but you can just kind of go wherever. You aren't limited to just this one area,
Yeah.
which, in my opinion, is an open world game,
Yeah.
because you can choose to go down that and go on those missions. And even though you don't have a mission over here, you can just go over there and start just doing whatever.
Well, and I debated this with some RPG games, like some true like JRP style almost games where you
Yeah.
get like Dragon Quest 8.
Mhm.
Like, is that open world, or I mean, you're kind of again, it's almost like a dungeon crawler, right? So like, does it?
Minecraft.
Yeah, right. It's like, again, I would call that sandbox. Like, that's totally a sandbox game.
Not really.
It's a big playground that you get to go and play in. I've never done this.
Minecraft,
yeah.
campaign.
Minecraft's definitely a sandbox.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, but you're not limited to what you can do in it. You don't
No, and
have boundaries.
I don't
you
necessarily
have-
think a sandbox has limits. It just doesn't have the life to it that.
unless you play on PC.
Yeah, I mean, and I've
You
never
get
played.
mods
I've
or
never
whatever.
played it, so
But tech, it's the way to go.
I think if I had to say the very first open world game that I've ever played that I think really set the mold for for other people to one up it was the original Zelda on NES.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Right? Like you start out that game basically a dude in the woods and you explore a world. Like that's
Yeah.
it. And find
And-
things along the way and the map gets blown up and like I mean again it's a dungeon crawler type open world. That's that RPG element I was kind of getting hung up on. But I think that if it wasn't for Zelda treating that game the way it was, we at least wouldn't be as far along in the open world as we are now.
Yeah. So in the original one, so did you have the map when you played?
No, and I never actually owned an NES. That was a game that I would play with friends. So I was never super into it because it was always hard to get into it because we never got very far. Right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it would always I'd show up in a week and they'd be way further and I'd play again, but I never got the full aspect of the whole game. But I remember thinking this is really cool. You can just explore this big world.
Yeah.
And that was the hardest part, was trying to figure out where you're at on the map and draw your own maps. Like, okay, I have to go 3 to the left and then 1 down, and especially when you didn't have the map.
Yeah. I love that you drew your own map because I
Oh,
totally
yeah.
did that with friends in those old games. It was like, okay, like it was totally archaic maps, right? But it was just there were at least reference materials for us, so we knew what was on the other
Yeah.
side of all these doors because you were constantly going through things, right?
That's
But
fun.
we used to make if we were lucky, we had graph paper and we could
Right.
actually bust something out. If not, they were like almost like little speech
God.
bubbles with lines that would go to define the map for
It's
us.
all like,
We didn't because there was
messed
no
up.
internet or anything unless
No.
you had the Nintendo Power that featured Zelda that month. You had to come up make your own maps.
God.
But again, I think
What a
that's a
time to
testament
be
to how
alive.
open that world was.
Right.
Right?
It was
So-
actually a really big game.
Yeah. Can you think of one that stands out to you as more of sandbox that you played? That you would put as that maybe early on?
Trying to think early on. I don't know. I'll have to think about that for a minute.
Yeah,
Probably Just Cause 2.
I was thinking Just Cause
I hate
think
those
is
games.
totally a sandbox.
But
I
they're
get
all
it.
the
Those
same.
games.
They're all pretty much the same.
The
Yeah.
controls suck. It's just a stupid game.
You're right. I got to do Marcus.
Oh, I was gonna do Marcus.
Oh,
thing.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's probably my first.
I can't stand it. It's no.
I mean,
I
yeah, they're
got-
not that good. Resident Evil.
Oh yeah, Resident Evil. It's a good one.
Would that be an open world game?
You can go anywhere in the mansion.
But aren't you like? Isn't it?
You had a specific goal, but you really
Okay, but
didn't
when
have.
okay, so here's like it's the mansion, but like don't you it's like you have to go here to do this, to do this. So you're essentially going like every playthrough is essentially the same, right? And where you
kinda.
have to go as
Sandbox.
a sandbox.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't know,
because you're set in your little spot.
but it's like
It's kind of open world, though, I think. That was one of the other questions I
Resident
had
Evil.
was how big does the world have to be considered open world? Is it really a matter of scale, like size?
Yeah. I think so.
I think the problem with making that like part of what emphasizes an open world is that I think that there's a big problem in the like gaming industry where that's what
God.
they brag about. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, dude, the world is 5 times as big as the last
it's
game or
4
whatever.
times as big as Fallout 4.
Yeah, but
Great.
it's like great.
Thanks.
It's also 4 times as sparse as
Yeah.
Fallout 4, right?
Jeez.
Like just because a game is massive in size doesn't mean it's better than a game that's a tenth of its size but has as much stuff to do.
Mad Max. Got it.
I think they got to be careful with just a lot of games right now. That's what they boast.
Yeah.
Right. Our map is the biggest you've ever seen.
Such a
also,
big
yeah,
map!
it's
It's like,
also the
no,
most
calm down.
boring.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing to do, and I'm sick
Ugh.
of running that far. It takes me 10 minutes to get across your stupid map with nothing to
You know
do.
what really bugs me, and when I've been like interested in like, I've been thinking a lot about it. Is like movement in open world games. Like I've been thinking about Breath of the Wild and how like yeah, I'll use fast travel a bit, but if it's like if I'm a good distance from somewhere, like and I'm on top of a mountain, I'm just gonna like shield surf down because it's awesome. It's awesome in that way. It's awesome to like paraglide or whatever. And then when I think about Fallout 4, if I have to go to my power armor storage up in Red Rocket to like do something down at the bottom of the map, I'm like, ugh, I'm not gonna walk there. And it made me think about like how important traversal is and how so many games get it wrong.
Yeah.
Like so many games rely on fast travel. That bugs me. Like Infamous, I never fast travel because the world's kind of it's like pretty condensed, but like moving around it in like any of the games is like movement's like the best part.
So what
Yeah.
about how about Infamous?
Skyrim, I like never fast traveled. like ever.
But like,
Yeah.
really?
I'd
'Cause you
take
just-
I'd pay for a cart, but I would never like actually fast travel.
But okay, isn't that essentially the same as like you're getting, like, because in wasn't there one? I think it was Morrowind. You could like fly, or you could run super fast or something.
I can't remember which one.
It was one of the older ones.
The only one you
Jay
can
says
actually.
Resident Evil is a sandbox game, by the way.
Yeah, so I have something here. So it's on Reddit. So it's the difference between open world, free roam, and sandbox. So in open world, it's mostly what the title implies. It's almost like a real life simulator. Like you can do whatever the hell you want to, from shopping to having your own home, eating at a restaurant. Like GTA stuff like that. Free roam is somewhat linear, but has an exploring aspect to it. You don't get to do everything you want to do, but you can explore and kind of just walk around, do whatever. And then sandbox is basically like the game creates levels and worlds for itself, and you're kind of like a god who shapes the land.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's
And they give Minecraft and Gary's Mod as an example for sandbox.
Yeah, like I almost think
to
like
make sandbox very limited, I guess. Kind of.
it's almost an arena is what I think of when I think sandbox. Like you're almost
Well, arena is a limited area, though.
well, so is a sandbox, right?
No, like Minecraft, that's, one of those things that you can go forever. There's no end to the map. On certain seeds, you can just keep going and going and going and going. The map just keeps growing as you go across. And you can make that world how you want to do it. You can manipulate it, you can make things, you can stop things. You can find
Yeah, but
villages
again,
of
it's-
people and stuff like that.
But again, it is just kind of this open world and you have your set of tools that you get to influence on it, right?
Well, yeah. So it's like you're what's a good game? Not Spore.
Not a
crap.
good game.
No. no.
That's what you're going to be
it's,
known as now.
Black and White. Remember that? Black
No,
and White
no.
is PC, and you were a god, and you made this world the way it was, and you helped the village, you created mountains, you did these things. So you were basically just taking the sand and doing whatever you want with it.
Okay,
Black and
that's
white.
one I played. What was it called? I can't remember the name either. But it was kind of like that too, where it was like you had these villagers you had to get from one part of the map to the other, and you're
Lemmings.
basically, yeah, not quite lemmings.
Oh, but you could like mess with the terrain and be
yeah.
like, there's a volcano. You have to make the water come. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you could like influence it to get them to their whatever point.
But that was more like a puzzle with like specific linear levels.
Right.
I almost feel like a simulator is more of a sandbox. Like I want to call like No Man's Sky a massive sandbox game. Like even though it doesn't have a
Yeah.
limit necessarily to its size, it's kind of all the same thing, and you're doing it. The world doesn't really have an impact on you. You just have more of an impact on it.
Yeah.
Right? Like I don't. But but I also think of it as a simulator, right? Like it's a
Yeah.
space survival simulator,
So that would be more of a free roam.
a free roam.
Yeah, where you can
To
explore.
this person's definition.
Well, but I mean,
Yeah.
even like with that definition too, like you can go wherever you want to. You can explore, but you basically have one mission. You're trying to look for things,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
That's the whole point of the game. You're trying to go to different places, find information
I almost feel like
about it. and
free
stuff like
roam
that.
could be like a subgenre of open world and sandbox.
I feel like open world should be the big genre, and there's like a bunch of little subgenres,
Yes,
like
for
That's ki-
sure.
like
that's kinda how it
sandbox,
is.
free
Yeah.
roam.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
think, like, I even think if we go back to the Infamous thing, I feel like Second Son is more of a sandbox, where the other ones almost feel more open world to me.
Yeah, Second Son isn't as like.
Like, really, as far as
Yeah.
just being, like, maybe breaking that sandbox mold a little more, I would give it to the second one. The first one feels a little more that way too.
Wait, are you talking about Second Son or Infamous 2?
Infamous 2.
Oh, okay.
I almost feel like
Why
that
would you
is
say-
the most. It's as far as interacting with the world and having the most influence. The first one is groundbreaking, and I
Yeah.
give it so much credit for
Or
that.
so
but
when,
it's
when I
not
said
as,
when I said like great as an open world game, I meant like that was the best game I could ever have like had to introduce myself into open world games, because it's like a really good like learning.
yeah,
Yeah, because
It's a phenomenal game.
Yeah, no, I love that one.
I-
The second one, yeah.
It seems like you have more of an. It almost feels like the first one was like that test kind of to like to like put those ideas out there and
Yeah.
get it figured out. And the second one, they came out and they like nailed it for
Yeah.
me anyway. And it was like you feel way more relevant in the world, right?
Yeah.
And then that third one is like it was almost that step backwards to back to that sort of sandbox mentality.
I don't think they wanted to do it, and I also think they were like Sony. It was just they were rushed. I think there's a lot of stuff that kind of went wrong with that game, but it's still fun to play.
Prototype was pretty good.
Prototype. Oh my god,
Yeah, I
I've
haven't
thought
played
about
that for a while either.
forever.
Yeah, that one was
That's-
really good.
That's I
'Cause-
would say that's more of a sandbox.
Yeah, that one would be more well.
Sandbox of blood.
I think
No, that
flesh.
one was more. I think that one was more free roam, kind of like Assassin's Creed, because you can just go and do whatever, but you have your mission to progress farther in the world.
Oh, okay. So sandboxes don't have. Okay, I see
No,
what you're saying.
sandboxes, you do whatever you want to do to make the world how you want to make
Okay.
it.
So because
Well,
there's
then-
definitely a mission.
Well, now I'm
I
back to
guess.
like the Need for Speed or the Midnight Club example. What would you call that?
Those would be free
You
roam.
have those
they
are just
have-
free roams.
Those would be free roam because you can go in the city, you can do these things, but in order to progress any farther, you have to go on this specific mission and do that.
Well, and you have zero influence on the world. Like
Right.
the world goes on just fine if
Yeah.
you just sit there,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Like you don't have to do anything.
hmm
I was gonna say I think the first like real
And you're welcome,
open-
Jay.
Finally,
Sorry,
dude.
I've been-
That's a cliffhanger, man.
I mean,
He has no fingernails left.
I know. I've been trying to get to saying thank you, but
It's just passionate conversation here.
right.
I think the first game, as far as open world, that I truly got lost in, and where I wished I would have been making my map so I didn't get lost like that, was totally the Soul Reaver Legacy of Kain.
Oh
Nice.
damn, yeah,
Jay's okay now.
those games those are really good.
That I think maybe I guess by our sub definitions we would call that free roam now.
Yeah,
as
that one
opposed
would
to
be free
open
roam.
world. But it was basically this massive world where you would run into like cliffs that you just couldn't climb.
Yeah.
Right? Which I think is again that God of War kind of example.
Yeah.
So it had those linear elements, but I remember you had to like unlock the doorways to be able to fast travel to the different points, and you couldn't get there until you navigated through the whole world to get to that point. Almost like a Dark Souls kind of thing, right? Where it's like
I love Dark Souls.
like you have your hub
that
world
game.
to like get you through
What?
different stuff. Oh, it's a game you gotta love to hate though. I'll give it that.
I love it in the fact that I play it about 3 or 4 times and then I just am like, nope.
oh, it's
I'm
a
gonna
controller
be
breaker,
mad.
man.
I'm
yeah.
gonna just get
I'm-
mad.
I'm stuck on Ornstein and Smog right now, and Dark Souls. I'm stuck on Orphan of Kos and Bloodborne.
Oh,
The hardest bosses in the series.
I can't even.
I
But Bloodborne's so stupid too.
When
Bloodborne's
I,
amazing.
No, it's a great game. It's just stupid.
Wind Waker. I never played Wind Waker.
yeah. See, so Wind
Oh,
Waker came up for me
Wind
too.
Waker's good too. Yeah. Yep.
I
perfect.
wondered about that too. Like, is it?
I haven't
Free,
played
it
that.
totally is free roam. You can do whatever you want. You do not have to focus on a mission ever if you don't want to. You can just sail around and find treasures and explore new islands and like do whatever you want all the time. It's very much like Breath of the Wild, right? Where you don't have to do anything in that
Yeah.
game. But I think
I
that
haven't even beaten Ganon. I have the Master Cycle.
when I think that Wind Waker almost took it to that next level and made you feel you felt way more like an explorer.
Yeah.
So it made that part of the world, that element in the game more personal for you, and it made it more fun. Whereas I think in
don't
Breath
you
of the
start,
Wild,
dude. Breath of the
it
Wild
lacks
is an
that element a little
amazing
bit.
Game.
like you don't feel
my
like an
God.
explorer in that game.
You
though.
totally do.
I don't know.
Yeah,
You kind of
you
do.
Are you kidding me? Have you played Breath of the Wild?
I have.
I don't think
I
you
do
have.
like
Man.
it. It is a totally a good
It's-
game.
that is
I'm
like
not
one of the
saying
best
it's a
games
bad
of
game at
all
all.
time.
Please do not take
Oh
what
my
I said
God.
as that
Do
game
it.
sucks by
To-
any means.
Marcus
Yeah.
says
Yeah,
it
it's
sucks.
yeah.
I
This is
know,
where it's
right?
going down.
Yeah.
when I
Hot
play back the
takes.
tape.
I already had
God.
that happen. Like on our when I asked this question online about the open world games, it was awesome that there was this dude that jumped in and he was. I imagine that he's like bobbing his head with his little attitude,
nice.
right? I don't know for sure, but and it's awesome. I love you. Great, thank you for commenting. But my favorite part was that he retweeted his own comment on his own feed. It was
Right.
like his own sub comment to like take all the credit for this and like what it was awesome. I give you, dude. I was like humbled when he did it. I was like, wow. That's
funny.
That's more than what I think I would have done, and
Yeah.
I can be shady. So it was awesome. I can't remember who it was, but it's cool because they know themselves, right?
Yeah.
Our podcast is their favorite, so it's fine.
And that just means that people are going to look and say, well, what is he replying to? And then look at you.
Yeah, maybe.
God.
No, that's
I
what
just-
I do.
that cracks
What's this?
me up.
Because it says, oh, you replied to these people. So, like, what is he replying to? Doesn't tell you what he replied to unless you follow that person.
He just quoted his own
Yeah.
comment so that he could
Right.
put his other own
Looks
comment
like an
on there.
insane person.
Yeah,
Exactly.
which is awesome because it tells
Which
me right away that he did that, right? Because it tags me in it. So I was like, really? Whatever.
That's cool.
Like I found it a little bit flattering,
Nice.
to be
Yeah.
honest with you. It's fine. So let's see. So when you think back on your first like real open world game, let's say it is like some sort of an Elder Scrolls or whatever. When you think back on that game, like how much has that game influenced your expectations and the standard that you now hold for these games that keep coming out? Because I think that open world is a phrase that is abused in the video game industry
Yeah.
now,
It is,
right?
yeah.
Like it's something. It's like a sticker that they slap on the case to just get you to buy the game.
Game of the Year edition.
Yeah, or whatever, right?
Definitive.
Yeah.
God.
So like,
What?
Like-
if it's
like
definitive,
when you
why
think-
are they giving us an update?
yeah, right. You get the definitive one, or you won't get the next batch of DLC.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there that game that you think back on that like it really does hold that standard for you, where it's now it has influenced your opinion of all the future open world games to come out after it?
I think probably Morrowind. I think because I remember buying that game and hating it at first. I'm like, this is stupid. I can't control it. I can't do anything. But then after I went back and played it again, like spent time at it instead of just through the first opening thing, like all of the Elder Scrolls games. It's such a good game, and you get so entranced in the world and looking at the things and trying to like figure out where you're going and not knowing where you're going in the world too. But you know you have this specific mission. It's kind of like the D&D mentality as well. You don't know what you're doing, but the DM does.
Yeah.
So you can choose to go walk down that hallway. Hey, who knows what's there? But yeah, that's kind of the whole thing. Like I think Morrowind is the biggest influencer in my.
So are you a fan of, just kind of based on what you're saying, are you a fan of an open world game that utilizes that element to kind of instruct you along the way, but not necessarily like spoon feed it to you?
Yeah, like, hey.
Like you like the element of surprise in the world?
Yeah, like, hey, like maybe you should check out this place. I heard some rumors. Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, sure. Maybe I'll think about that. And then eventually you end up in that town, like, oh yeah, somebody said I should go here. Like,
That's just Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is very much that way. I love
one
Breath
of
of
the-
the Wild. I don't want people to think I hate it.
God, you hate that
It's
game.
okay.
And I'm judging
It is a
you for
good
one
game.
of the cool things, like Elder Scrolls Arena, like that was the first one. And in that game, like it's super old school, but you get basically just thrown into a dungeon and you try to find your way out. In order to get out of that dungeon, you have to look in the manual and it says what spell or what ingredients do you have to use to make this potion on this page. So you have to have that manual to be able to get out of the dungeon in the very first thing.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of like an open world thing to me too, because that was a very big open world game, because you just like you were in a dungeon and then you are out and now you have to go figure out where you're going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that, and again, it's an RPG one, right? Like I
Yeah.
think that's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
game that heavily uses that RPG element, and I think that's when you make an open world RPG game, I think you can kind of gamble on that in some ways as far as the mission objectives go, because I've played those where it's really ambiguous what that is, and that ends up being nothing but frustrating, right?
Right.
Because I need, where the hell am I supposed to go, right? And eventually you're fed up, and I go find my tutorial or guide online, right? Like I get pissed off at the game. But then there's other games that utilize that element really well, and I love the fact that I know where the main mission is. Like there's a way to kind of go, you have a source that you can go to explain what that is, but I don't care because I'm so engrossed in all the side quests and the other things around it that make it fun, but I didn't lose that main objective, right? Like there's a real, I think when you add a lot of that RPG stuff to the open world, it's kind of this balancing act. Maybe all games, right? Like I shouldn't even be that specific.
I think it's really important for open world games if they want to be ambiguous but there's like a definite thing you need to do. Like the easiest way, and I don't understand why more open world games don't do it, is to just have like a big thing. Like as much as I dislike the Mad Max game, coolest thing is that from like basically anywhere on the map you can see Gastown. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like you're like way over in like some area because it's just a desert. It's literally just a desert. And
Ooh,
it
nice
makes
save.
It's a literal sandbox.
but like anywhere in the massive desert that you're in, you can see Gastown. And so if you're like, I want to go back to the main quest, you just head in the direction of Gastown. And then there'll be like some wall blocking, and you're like, oh, I got to get over this, right? Or Horizon, which is
I think if you want to keep talking about Mad Max, I'd love to talk about its comparisons to Breath of the Wild. So
don't you dare.
that was so worth it just for that
Hashtag
face. That was
Marcus
the
hate.
whole right.
Like
Find me on Twitter and
Horizon
berate
Zero
me.
Dawn has a bunch of like huge landmarks. Like you're like, what is that massive like? What's this like big tower? What's that weird squid thing stuck in the mountain? Or like Breath of the Wild, like all the divine beasts,
Yeah.
right? Or like they're like all. It's like if you can't see them, then you don't have eyes or something. Or like Hyrule Castle from like basically anywhere. Or you're like, where's Hyrule Castle? Oh, follow the massive laser coming from the 700-foot tall elephant, and then you're pointed right there. And I think that's like a really like genius way to tell you where to go.
Well, and I think that even if they don't give you that main spot, you should always be able to go to a menu, look up a quest list, and maybe highlight it, and then you'll get that like light beacon that then will mark where that quest is.
Or you
like,
can even mark your own things on the map.
Not a light beacon, but I think just like a general direction, like on a compass.
That's
Yeah.
Because a light beacon is like, oh, well, it's right there. That's where I have to go.
Yeah. At some point, that's what I want, Mick. Right? Some of those games, I'm like, God damn you, game.
Yeah.
Right? It's supposed to be fun.
Far Cry 4, like that was a really good one. I really liked Far Cry. Or was it 4 or 3?
I don't.
What's the newest one? 5.
Oh,
right?
5.
Yeah, so
the
4.
one in Montana.
4. I really liked 4 in the fact that you can just run into the woods. You didn't have to do I basically went through that game taking out every little aspect of the map before I actually continued with the main mission.
God damn you, Dad.
Every time.
I love to hate your comments.
Nah, I'll be back in a little bit.
Oh, nice. Not just me.
Marcus.
Nice. Yeah, I think
yes.
it's I think as video games keep progressing into this just really oversaturated market, the open world aspect of it all kind of concerns me a little bit, only because I think developers get lost again in the size of it and the non-relevant parts of it, and they miss, like, when you do something and along the way and you decide to do it all of a sudden, right? It's hard to learn those lessons that you learned along the way. You know what I mean? Like the people that have been making it for a while, I think, have made some of the mistakes that a lot of people will end up doing. Like the things we're talking about, where it's like, what the hell am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Or the, like, how you're not a fan of just the big obvious light beacon. Like maybe they should do something a little more subtle then, right? Like, and again, I think those start to be those elements that separate it from the free roam to the open world to the sandbox. And like, again, I think open world, I totally agree, is the overarching genre that now we're dealing with subgenres.
Right. To get to Jay's comment there, Far Cry is really good. I am not excited for the new one though, because it just, I don't know, it doesn't look good. Like, it's very bright and it's almost like the new Rage.
Yeah, which I'm actually really excited for.
I don't know about that though, because it's.
Did you play the first Rage?
Yeah, I love the first one.
Yeah, I loved it too. It was such a weird like sleeper hit too, wasn't it? Like people weren't playing it, and like remember it got all this backlash, and I got it, and I was like, "This is great." Of course, I got it for half price.
Was it Raven? Was one of the developers?
Might have been. I can't remember.
No,
the biggest thing about Far Cry is that it's Ubisoft, right? That's what's
right. But it's
Yeah.
good. But it's a good game. It's a very good game. I really like the Far Cry. I didn't play Primal because I figured that's
I didn't
stupid.
either.
Because all it was Far Cry 4 just reskinned.
Jack Dance.
Nice. Floss.
Dude, you better copyright that. It's gonna show up in Fortnite.
What?
Oh.
It's my favorite game. I forgot to preface with that.
Oh, Fortnite?
Yeah, it'll be my
Yeah.
favorite game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like
It's not
I
my
didn't play
favorite game.
Primal because Primal was just a reskin of 4, which was stupid.
Yeah.
So I didn't do that. But
It was literally like the same map.
yeah,
Like, they
it is
Oh,
the
it was?
exact
Oh,
same
wow,
map.
like the definition of a reskin.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it literally was just reskinned.
This is
and now
sounding
you have
very
a spear.
Ubisoft.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed? Is he still really? Is there that much Creed left? Come on.
Right.
Too
but the
many.
new one, I'm not sure.
Oh, New Dawn?
That
Yeah.
because it's like
Interesting.
eh, but it's just like the same
Another
thing. Wow.
Second time.
But it's
Yeah,
the
I
same
know.
thing that Rage 2 is doing basically.
Dude, Rage 2 that looks phenomenal.
I don't know.
It looks like Doom open world. Like
Yeah,
Like
but
what?
it's like it's super bright and neon and all this stupid stuff.
but
like
that doesn't the pace
that
of it.
bugs me.
The pace of the gameplay though, it looks so awesome.
Yeah. I don't know.
Like
I'll have to try
I
it
don't know.
at least.
yeah.
But
I think I'm gonna get Rage 2. It looks a lot like Doom open world, like just like really fast paced, like crazy. It's like I don't know.
like at this point, I'm not excited for it at all. I'm not. I just
Wow.
It's because of it. Basically, it looks like that.
You don't like the pink?
Far Cry and like what Far Cry is doing. It's like
Yeah.
the same thing, but in a different
Okay,
aspect.
well,
the
Rage was
post-apocalyptic
doing
world.
it. Rage was doing it first, so
But still, it's still one of those things that it's.
And you're talking about Rage now. You're not
Well,
super
no.
excited for Rage 2.
Well, yeah,
or
or
still the
even
Far
Far Cry. Like it's.
But
they're
I think
both look like
you
the
don't like-
same.
so. If
type
we
of
go
game.
back though, also, as far as Rage is concerned, I think that was part of the backlash that Rage got. Right?
was
Was
so
that
bland.
it's another Borderlands. They're redoing what everybody's done
Well, see,
and this and
the
that.
first one was so good because
Yeah, but I think
It was
that
like
people
what Mad
couldn't.
Max
it looked
should have been.
so dry.
Yeah,
though.
but people couldn't see past that. I think when
Right.
Rage first came out, it's why it was more of a sleeper hit because so many people were like, "It's basically Borderlands now." Somebody's ripping off that and doing whatever, and I think it got this
Yeah.
bad vibe to it right out of the gate when it's not the same game at all.
No, not
and
at all.
it totally deserves playing it, and I'm sure you can find it used or on the PlayStation Store for like $10.
I mean,
I
so
Rage,
might
had,
worth
Rage had a lot of
because I want
problems.
to play that game again now.
It's so worth
It
your
was-
$10, man.
It was pretty dry, and it wasn't like
I love the characters though.
There
Like
was
the
not a lot
world
of
was
story,
alive.
but it
But,
was
like,
just like, all right,
I think
I'm surviving.
Rage 2 is
Yeah,
just
yeah.
gonna is just gonna do what Rage 1 did, but better, make it like more open world and like I don't know. I'm personally really looking forward to Rage 2.
I feel the same
I don't
way as
know.
far as
I'm
like
on
Dying
the
Light
fence.
goes. I think Dying Light is the same thing where it got this bad rap because it was again this
Another
we're basically
zombie game,
doing
but it's like
zombies
good
again,
game.
and
awesome.
doing whatever.
Yeah. Dying Light's pretty awesome.
but
That was
it
one
is
of the
so
games
good.
that I was super immersed into. Like I would get into it.
It's
Would you
scary.
call that a sandbox? I almost think of Dying Light as more of a sandbox.
No, that's an open world.
You would give it open world?
Or actually, that's probably more free roam because you can't just go and sit down and eat and do whatever. But because from like the definitions that we've found, it was like sandbox is more like you can shape the world how you want it to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where free roam is you can do whatever by running around and exploring, but you can't, do whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, I would
you
say
have a limit to what you can do.
I would say
Yeah.
the world is pretty impacted because like
But Dying Light, you can do whatever you want.
but the more
Yeah, but if you killed somebody, they won't let you kill somebody who's important to the story. You can't just like, I don't like you anymore. I'm just gonna destroy you.
so wouldn't that be more open
Yeah.
world?
No, because open world. Well, yeah, open world is like, well, this character's important, but I don't care. I'm gonna kill him,
Oh, okay.
and then that impacts what's gonna happen next. Whereas
Yeah.
free roam,
Which is why
like Dying
really
Light.
when I think of the open world plus narrative and nailing it down, I also have to give big props to like Mass Effect. Like I know
Oh,
that
yep.
they've made stumbles, but like
Mhm.
the narrative in Mass Effect and how relevant you feel in this massive world that you can play, that you feel like your actions really dictate what happens in this world. I mean, I have to give huge props to those
Right.
first. I mean, what, the first 3 Mass Effects? That whole
at least the
overarching
first 2.
story. Yeah, I heard a lot of. I 3 is the only one in that trilogy I haven't
Right?
played at all.
Mm.
But and I would love to. I'd love to do the whole arc, but I hear people give it a hard
Ooh,
time.
you did a half dab there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm allergic to. I don't know what I'm allergic to in here, but it's something.
I think we kind of touched on my main open world questions. I think my last question, really, that I would like to see, is not so much as a question as just kind of when I think about open worlds more. And I think the biggest impact on the industry, kind of, I go back to Red Dead and all this with their open world and what's going on. But I even think there's elements in there where I would like to see games capitalize on it, where, like in Red Dead, I wish that if I went all the way to the east side of the map and hunted stuff there, it was worth more on like the west side of the map. Or like if you hunted a whole bunch, like suddenly now that maybe the animals there's only so many that spawn at so much point, so they're like more rare now, so they're worth more. Like I want my actions to have more of an impact on the world like that.
I agree.
I'm sure that game out there exists.
Dwarf Fortress.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't played that either. Mad Max?
No.
Yeah. Like the
Fortnite?
hunting aspect would one thing that'd be really cool is, different types of character or different types of animals in different areas.
Yeah,
So, like
which
you're
it does
saying-
have.
Like different
yeah,
biomes.
it does
stuff.
have that.
Okay, so like if the only like elk are only in this side of the map, so
Yep.
you have to travel there, so that would make sense that they'd be worth more.
Yeah, and that is how the map is. Like let's
but
say
there's
you want
no
iguana, right?
There's no
no exchange rate difference anywhere.
just
Yeah,
like,
because
I'll
like
give you $10
nearby, it's
for
like
that.
we always get elk, but like at the south, like no one ever comes.
Yeah, like I
That'd be
wish
interesting.
that mattered more, and I wish that like when there's a thunderstorm and it was raining, it impacted the animals more, and I feel like in the single player it
like
did.
make your stealth better. 'cause
Yeah,
they
or
can't
like
hear you and smell you.
yeah, and I'm sure that those games exist out there, and I would not be shocked if it was like a PC game, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah,
those seem
PC.
like elements
That's
that
that's
PC
a lot
would
of
have.
detail. That's a lot of detail, though.
I don't
So,
think
like-
we're that far away from it. Though.
There's
I
hunting
think that
simulators.
So
dude.
I think we need
Yeah.
to like kind of get the maps to like a smaller size, but be able to put more in there.
yeah.
And
Well,
then
I
for
guess
DLC, just expand
well,
the map rather than expand the
even-
gameplay.
Yeah.
I don't think like making the map small when you first start out is a good thing.
Well, I don't
we're-
mean small, but
but I mean even smaller than what we have now, because with what we have, if you have a smaller map, everybody's just gonna get all pissed about it because like, well, this isn't as big as Red Dead or this isn't as big as this thing, but you can do a lot more in it. They're not gonna look at that. They're gonna see the map size and all that.
I feel like that matters more though, because it's like Fallout 76. No one cares about how big the map is. I mean, it does have a lot of diverse locations,
I do though.
but there's nothing to do there. There's nothing to do.
yeah,
It's just the same.
Right
Well, and I
now
almost
it
think-
is, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And the build
probably,
limit
like-
sucks.
Oh my god! And yeah, the stat, like everything about it is just like, yeah, but like
It's good, but they need to fix a lot of things.
Well, and I think that this is like almost a testament to why that first Shadow of War is so good, right? Like I almost feel
Great
like
game.
if the
Love it.
map would have been as big as the second Shadow of War, but all you got to do were the same things in the first one, it would have felt so underwhelming. I left that first Shadow of War game again because the maps are small in it,
Yeah.
though, but they felt so jam packed with stuff. I left it like pining for more.
Yeah.
Right? It was like, where's more? Like I want to do more things and explore more. And then when they finally gave me that with the second one, they missed that like confinement and like the accurate like dispersal of it all, where I almost felt overwhelmed with it. It was just like, I don't care. Like
if they,
it's
like,
almost
they
too
coulda-
much. Like the scale can get skewed too far
Yeah.
one way or the
Yeah,
other.
I agree with that too. Like with the Mordor games or the Lord of the Rings games. Actually, no, with Middle Earth. That's what it is. Middle Earth Shadows. With Shadow of Mordor, they did really good in getting you into that aspect of you can't die because of the
Yeah.
character interaction. Like I thought I
Yeah.
killed you and all this stuff.
That was fun.
They expanded that even more in Shadow of War. But they also made the controls a lot harder, I thought, for your
Yeah.
combat. Like
But they're-
they made it a lot easier with the first one in being able to hit combos and being able to disperse people and get out of the middle of the zone and without being hit by a bow or a spear or something.
Yeah.
Whereas the
Well,
second
how-
one was like, no matter what you were doing, if you didn't push the button just right, you're hit no matter what.
Yeah. Which I'm okay with that.
I want to go
that
back
aspect
to
of
it to
Yeah, I
like
need
give it
to
like a
do- I
real
need to do
fair
it also.
shake.
Mhm.
I almost felt like the second one was too diluted, right? Like it just like
Yeah, the
it
maps
was almost
were like
watered down.
like the fortress idea. I really, really, really like having like there's like the little guys, but like the big guy. Like
Yeah.
the big guys never felt as important in Shadow of Mordor, but in this one it's the guy.
Yeah.
Right, and it hypes it up so much more. So it's like I was a huge fan of that, or like running in like solo or with my army, like however I wanted to do it was always really fun. But yeah, like the maps were just too big and they felt so empty. Like I
Shallow. They felt watered down and shallow to me.
yeah,
Yeah.
like it was always cool being like, all right, nearby there's gonna be this grog cave, and you can like, I mean, personally, the Shadow of Mordor maps felt like a little too like some of them were just like some areas I'm just like I'm bored over here, but other areas it's like there's a fortress here, there's grog places, there's like all these different hubs of activity, and I feel like Shadow of War was just like the hub of activity is like the main fortress. Everything else is kind of like whatever, and there's like a lot of stuff around like that. There's one map with like all these caves, and I was just like I keep having to look at like the main map because like I don't know how to get out of here because this place is boring. And I don't want to remember it. It sucks.
Right.
It's just a bunch of stupid caves. Yeah.
I think again that, I mean, I think you could talk all games in general, not just necessarily open world, where I think the amount of each element you add to the game while still retaining its value is so important, right? In any game. Like I think just because something's there doesn't make it important. Like it has to have relevance to be there. And so like just coming up with this laundry list of things I can do in a game doesn't matter if those things don't matter, right?
Right.
Like they have to have relevance to the game. So
like San Andreas, you eat too much, you get fat.
yeah, well,
Right.
and it
You know,
makes
That's a good aspect. Like, oh, I'm just gonna go eat all like 18 cheeseburgers. Well, then now you're slower, and it affects
and it did
you.
affect things. Like yeah, like it needs to be relevant. It needs to matter. Like fluff. I think a lot of, which I think is awesome in the gaming industry, that we're starting to be able to nitpick and get to that level where it's like,
Yeah.
I'm
just
gonna pull
because
up
somebody
Marcus
else,
and pee.
go for it, man.
Wow.
Just because somebody else can also do it doesn't mean that those first people that made it relevant are going to be like outdone, right? Like just because you include it in your game doesn't mean that it
Like
matters.
fishing in Shadow of Mordor. That's useless.
Yes.
Yeah. But fishing in like in Red Dead, like that makes sense. Yeah, and it has to make sense in the context of the world that you're in.
Yeah, and just to put it in there as another box to check on your list of features that the game offers isn't enough.
Yeah.
Right? And I think there's a lot of games out there right now, especially right now, because we're totally in this state of oversaturation. We just are. And I think that
was fast.
there's a lot of games. It was super fast, dude. He pushed really hard.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Wait, did he even leave yet?
I think we're kind of in that scary time where again, I'm coming back to that next generation of systems where I'm really excited for it, especially because I think that generation will weed out these cookie cutter copies, right? That aren't doing anything new.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to see some of those guys go away and what the next one does right around the corner.
Yeah.
I think they need to do relevant things, right? Like they can't just keep reskinning and copying other stuff. They need to make those changes and the things they're doing relevant within the game.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for it. I really am. I think it could mean a time of more iffy stuff and some like weird gambles that might not pay off, but I'm still excited for it.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
could be a time of
Curious to see
joy.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I am so damn cold in my studio. It is freezing over here.
Sounds like a
Your
problem.
internet's cold too, man. You got a little bit of a stutter going on
What?
there. Just visually, you still sound beautiful. Yeah.
I told you we should have checked that before. Now you tell me.
Well, I don't know. I mean, is there anything else that we didn't touch on that you guys would like to talk about open world games or any of that?
I don't like Mad Max, but I really like Horizon and Breath of the Wild. I think that's already been established in the Nerdbuzzed lore, though.
I got super excited for the new Elder Scrolls trailer until I found out it was online. Because they're coming up with Elsewhere.
Yeah.
Elsewhere,
I'm like,
what's
oh
that?
my god.
What trailer
that's
now?
with
What is this?
the Elder Scrolls Online.
Okay, yeah.
Is Elsewhere, is that like a place?
Elsewhere is where the Khajiit are from.
Oh no, no.
Yeah. So like I got super excited, like, oh yeah, next Elder Scrolls. Nope, Elder Scrolls Online, which means it's still gonna suck because the game is stupid.
Or Elder Scrolls Blades. They're
Yeah.
really pushing
I'm.
that.
Is it funny that I didn't even associate Elder Scrolls Online with ESO? Like I knew that that's what it meant, but I'm only ever used to hearing it called ESO, not Elder Scrolls Online.
Right. Yeah.
Is that terrible?
It's no, it's not. Yeah. Well, and ESO was actually really good when it came out. Like I loved the game. The only thing I didn't like about it was the
Workout sessions.
workout sessions.
Maybe he's working out while listening to us. Just like, I'm gonna get big like them.
Nice.
But my biggest gripe about it was being an archer or being an elf or anything like that. When you shoot an arrow at something, you don't want the arrow to arc around and then whack into the person. You want your arrow to go where you're aiming, and that's something.
Unless you have some like kick-ass target lock-on arrow.
Yeah, which
right, like if you could like mark someone and then totally turn the opposite direction and shoot it and watch it like homing missile them. That's awesome.
And then do like massive damage. But no, it was like, oh, I'm targeted this guy. So it's like World of Warcraft. My attacks are hitting that person.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't like that. But
And
they
that's
have.
that's what bugged you.
Oh yeah, that was my biggest gripe. I didn't. Well, because it took you out of the element of the game. Because it's supposed to be, this is a Elder Scrolls game, but with multiple or massive players. But it wasn't. It was.
Maybe elves have
it was
figured it
World
out to
of
where
Warcraft,
like
that's what it
when
was.
they aim at you,
Yeah.
they're gonna hit you. Like they have magic. All the arrows are magic. They don't need to arc. Boom.
I would say
not
that
everybody
Elder
has
Scrolls always
magic.
has the cop-out of magic.
But it,
Yeah,
but
right, it does.
Not everybody has magic.
Gravity works different.
Yeah.
Nah. See, but then
Solved
these
it.
people have worked on the new mod, which I'm very, very excited for. It's in closed beta right now, but it's Skyrim together. And it is Skyrim.
Dad was telling me
multiplayer.
about that.
It is awesome. Like
Nice.
it is what we
I like
wanted
that you and
from
Dad have
Elder
some
Scrolls
side
Online.
projects.
Yeah.
Does he play it? Does he play it on PC?
Dad, you have a PC, right? Like a working PC.
Oh yeah. Oh, you're on here. Yeah.
Yeah, he has to. Yeah. It could be on his phone.
If you
I don't
play
know.
well, but
No matter what, we're stoked you're here,
play,
Dad. Never leave.
as soon as it comes into open, I'm not in the closed beta right now, but from everything I've heard and watched about it, like it is what we wanted for a multiplayer Elder Scrolls game.
That's pretty cool.
Because it is taking the aspects of if you shoot an arrow at a guy and he sidesteps, the arrow's gonna miss him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you can miss hits or whatever like that. But the
Unless it's a homing arrow.
right.
It's almost upon us.
Yes.
Yes.
I'd get Skyrim on the PC if I could play
And
with
if
people.
we
It
get
actually be kinda
okay,
cool.
this also a big example of why this crossplay thing would be so sweet. If we could play our For Honor with Dad, right?
Yes.
Like we have it, we're totally like playing the
I'm
thing
definitely gonna be
that
playing
he
that.
obsessed on. Like I'm gonna play it. I've already got it downloaded. I might even fire it up tonight. I would love to play with you, Imp. I'd love to get Slade in on it. I want to get Jay in on it. I've talked to Fwant. I want to get him on it. If we could cross-play that and actually play with Dad,
Oh, that'd be awesome.
yeah,
That'd be
But
great.
it'd
Sony's
be
like,
so sweet. I'd love to
no.
play with you, Dad.
Why don't you just join?
Uh,
Why don't you just join the master race or the sub master race and get PlayStation?
so
Right?
nice.
Yeah. Well, again,
The
that
sub
next
race.
generation, man. I
Oh,
think
that's funny.
I think we really are in such a saturation point with video games and what's going on with it that this next generation is you're going to see some real diamonds shine through and some people
Yeah.
that are really going to start redefining what standards were and I hope with the player in mind more so
Yes,
than
please, thank God.
than
Yes.
than
Hopefully.
the player's wallet, right?
Yeah.
And so if we can really come
EA.
together as a gaming community and the developers realize that that's what we want as a gaming community, that would be so super cool to me. I want to be able to play games, the same game that my friend has, even though we don't have the same system. And like I want these, what to me seem like such archaic barriers
Yeah.
to not be there anymore. Like that seems like such a stupid reason to not be able to play a game anymore. So I really hope, and I think we're going to see big advancements in that. And I think we're going to see that just across anything that involves the internet for the next in the next couple of years here. I think it could get weird and crazy, and it might be oversaturated as far as all that goes, and we're going to see some off the wall
Too many games,
ideas
yeah.
that are not going to work, and we're going to see some that have one element that's awesome and the rest doesn't work. But I'm hoping that it all gets kind of dialed in and we can all find this
Yeah.
this kind of this is my total hippie cyber
One
hippie
love,
talk
dude.
here, but I would love it. It would be so cool. It really would.
Freaking
be-
cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Don't even talk.
It's a whole nother show,
I'm-
Nick. It's a whole nother show.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I want it. So bad.
It would be
What-
fun to play with Dad. It would be.
I do have
Yeah.
a question for Jack though. I'm going
God.
through my friends list on the PlayStation app, and I don't see requests from you.
What? I thought I'm doing it
It's
right
in his
now.
butt still, dude. He keeps too much stuff in
is
there.
it Impinator?
Yeah.
So many
Yep.
notifications.
Yes.
Hey,
yes, it
Dad,
is.
if I could, I would love to play
PlayStation app.
For Honor with you. It
Oh, there it
really has been so cool to have you stick with us as long as you have. I would love to play. If I played For Honor with you, I would talk so much crap to you. It would be so much fun.
And he would destroy us every time.
Oh, you would
Oh,
just
yeah.
annihilate me, man. It would be awesome. I would love it. We are looking forward to having you join us at the end of the month when we review For Honor because it is our game of the month. We're going to play the crap out of that
Yeah.
game.
For you, just for you, Dad.
Yeah, and regardless of how you feel about it, we're all going to be open and honest about it, and I totally want you to stick up for it, and it's going to be so much fun.
Tell us why we're wrong.
Yeah, I would love to hear why I'm wrong. It's going to be awesome. And we're going to keep watching Ninja Batman, which is our anime for the month. And I didn't
Batman.
I didn't touch on
Yeah.
it. Yeah, we
Changed a
weren't
couple
sure,
times.
and we kind of put it out there. And we were trying to get feelers, and then we decided to settle on Ninja Batman. And one of the discussions we had around that was,
Okay.
is that an anime? Right? Because it's not. And so I tried to look into that a little bit. And as far as Japan is concerned, anything that is animated is an anime.
Really?
Right? Yeah, like if they call an American, the word for cartoon basically is anime. So if it means animation, right? So in Japan, anything animated, they call an anime.
Huh.
I think as far as the
Right. Check your friend request.
America,
All right. Doing it
like
right
in
now.
other countries that make cartoons, we call anime that particular style. But I think if you were in Japan, they would call all of it anime. So
Interesting.
yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting because I was trying to figure that out with Gary. I was like, I don't know if it would be. Is it like technically and this and that? In Japan, there's no word for cartoon. It is anime. So
That's
just kind
really
of an interesting little side point. At least, okay, that's according to Wikipedia. So put whatever merit you wanted that, and then I regurgitated it.
Wikipedia is a
so-
reliable source.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like 10th grade high school
yeah,
teachers.
whatever. Anybody that's trying to pass a essay anywhere.
Yeah.
But so we are going to watch Ninja Batman. Do it, people. Tell me what you think. I am going to watch it in English and I'm going to watch it in Japanese. I think that will maybe impact my opinion.
Nice.
We're going to play For Honor. As always,
Yeah.
please tell your friends to hit that subscribe button. We're so close to 100.
Down there.
Do it.
Right. No, this way.
It.
Right?
Yeah.
One of these
You're
ways.
right. In this area, it's down.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
It should be
Please
over
do
here,
it though.
I think.
It really does make a difference for us. If we get 100 people, we get our own vanity URL. It's not the weird algorithm. It makes a big difference. We're like 4 away. So do it,
Wow,
people. Tell your
really?
friends. Yeah, we're that close.
Damn.
So do
Gamers,
it.
can we just rise up real quick?
Yeah.
Also like me too.
Yes,
And
totally.
subscribe to
Like
yeah.
Mick, at
and
Impinator, at Stupid Mythic Forest. I got the name right. I'm not going to spell it for you.
Damn,
Two
you did.
O's.
Find it there somewhere. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Swindle. I appreciate
Nice.
it.
Sweet.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for everybody that joined us.
I'm gonna be like really weird. I'm gonna put my things in the chat so people know.
Yeah, no, that's fine, dude, man. Promote yourself. That's why you're here.
Yeah. So I'm doing.
So if you're not watching the video, do it now so that you get all of Mick's promotions.
You need to
Hey.
find a way to put all this in the URL before we go
Before
live.
we do, well,
Well,
you know, I need to have people with not
you
internet
could just
monsters.
have a little bar that comes across, or the one that's going down below there that has like, hey, follow us here and all this.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know. If I
the
only
one
had
that's
an
been-
intern that would be on top of that stuff.
You will not let me change that. I've wanted to change that for like a year.
What do you think of your beer, Mick? Let's wrap this episode up.
Hold on.
I-
Yeah. Oh my
It's been
God.
awesome, but let's do it.
Hold on. I have to
Just
type
trying to
I have to type my stuff.
Okay. I'll tell you what I think of my beer. I think it's
Yeah.
working.
Anyways,
We can tell.
It's actually pretty good. I do think it's a little bit better as it's warmed up. The more I drink it, it is pretty sweet, but it's not. For being 11%, it's completely reasonably and tolerably sweet. I really don't have any complaints around that. I'm really a big fan of how not overly barrel aged it is.
Mhm.
So it makes it kind of nice to be able to drink it that way. I am pretty stoked on it. Write this down, intern. I'm going to give you a score.
God.
Do something productive.
Thanks.
Yep.
I'm going to give this a solid 8. It's great. I like it.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice. There you go.
Hey,
Mick
came right up.
put in
Nice.
his stuff.
Whoa.
There's like a 5-second delay before chat goes in. At least.
Yeah. So, well, and I hope that people realize that when they're chatting, that if I'm a little slow on response, I'm also slow, but it's also YouTube.
Well, I think for
So-
them it would be the same time because it's like we're in the future.
For them, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
for us,
So
there's
I think
about a 5
we're
seconds.
getting the
Yeah, yeah,
messages
there's a little bit
instantly.
of a
It's
delay.
just they're not getting the video instantly.
Right.
No, but I totally appreciate Swindle sharing everything in your stream group, man. It
Yeah.
really makes a difference.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah. We're doing it for fun, but it's more fun when people care. So I appreciate that.
Shout out.
Shout out.
What about yours, Mick?
Oh,
Lay a
yeah.
score on it,
So,
Mick.
official SMF is the Twitter account that we have, and an Impinator is me. We also have a
Wait,
podcast.
no.
What?
We're-
What? What?
you're-
What?
No, give him his,
beer.
give him his
okay.
2
Beer.
cents.
What-
No,
yeah.
but keep
Whatever.
going, man.
Whatever.
I
I
want
don't
people
know
to
what
listen
you
to your
like
stuff too.
No,
I want people to listen to your stuff.
We'll put that on hold first. So my beer, amazing. I'll show the bottle again. It is the North Jetty Brewing in Seaview, Washington, and it is the Graveyard of the Pacific Imperial Red, 10% by volume. It is pretty great. It's a good content, but it's not super sweet. The IBUs, even though it says it's 100, it's not as bitter as a lot that I've had.
Nice.
Which is really weird because there's a big like dip when that goes. Like I've had some that were like, oh, this is only like 45, but it was so bitter that I couldn't hardly drink it.
Yeah.
This one is one of my favorites. They only make it once a year. I'm trying to get at least a 6-barrel next year.
Put a score on it, man.
I'm
the
trying.
anticipation
I'm
is
trying.
killing me.
This is actually my like 9.8.
Oh, what?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That
This
is like you can see the unicorn. You haven't saddled
I
it,
think
but
we,
you
no.
I
can
think
see
we
it.
rushed him
I-
on that one because that's like probably
No,
the best
this-
score.
I think it might be the best beer score we've ever given anything.
Yeah.
This is my 9.8.
That is
Yep.
classic Mick. He's got to one up us.
Mhm.
Wow.
Well, I want to say, please, people, look at the comments. Follow Mick. Follow all of his stuff online. Go give him a hard time there. It's one of my
Yes.
favorite things to do. Please
it.
do that. I cannot thank you enough, Mick, for joining us and getting nerdy with us.
Oh, that was great.
I'm sure you'll be back
Awesome.
again. I promise to do my best to keep getting your name right.
Good.
No 100% guarantees, but I'll try.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
Shout out to Dad
I
and
love you,
Eva.
man.
Yeah.
I love all you guys.
You
My
guys
beer's
are
working.
awesome.
I love all of our fans. To all the nerds,
We're all the fuzz.
bottoms up. Let's get nerd buzz.
Cut it. Cut it.
Talking
Head drop.
about beer, talking about
Woo-woo.
nerd culture.
Now it's
Talking
silent.
about
Now it's silent
nerd
for us.
buzz.
It's not. It's
Marcus and Jeremiah.
Any last remarks you want to say to Jack?
You're on nerd buzz.
Shut your mouth.
Mad Max and Fortnite forever.
No!
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Let's get nerd buzz.
Skins.
That makes me
Yeah.